Congratulations, Coach.
We got the ball to our playmakers, which Charlie does a phenomenal job of accentuating those guys defensively. I thought we played pretty clean in the game. We had a couple issues I think we've got to tie up. And obviously in the kick game on our coverage units, on the kickoff coverage was disappointing. We have covered very well all through training camp, and it was disappointing to see some of that tonight. Opening game, to open the game with a return, kickoff return, and then we got called for holding there. But if they call it, it's holding. And but really excited to see Jeff and Chris on the field. Those guys are. I've been watching Chris through spring and through training camp, and obviously Jeff just through training camp, and they are very special with the ball in their hands. Very pleased with how John directed our offense, and thought we played pretty clean defensively, just cleaned some things up. They say your most improvements from your first and second game, and I'm looking forward to that because we certainly have some things we need to work on. And I'll go ahead and open up for any questions.
Raise your hand, we'll get your microphone. Friends over here to the left.
Well, Will, would you talk about what you saw defensively? I know you hadn't seen the film yet, but you did a good job keeping them out of the end zone, and in the first half pretty much dominated things.
Well, again, Florida Atlantic lost some really good talent off last year's football team. They had some new faces as well as us. But I really felt like we dominated on the line of scrimmage. We played well, cutting some receivers off down the field. We'll face better this year. But for a first ball game, from the most part, our communication and execution was decent. Some things we need to get cleaned up and move forward. We were able to play a lot of guys tonight, so that's always good.
Mike, right here in the middle.
Can you just expand on some of the things you thought John did real well in terms of throwing the ball and making reads?
Taking what they gave him. I mean, how many swing passes did we throw to Jeff and Chris? Get the ball in space to your playmakers. I thought they did a great job of that. The most impressive throw tonight, I can't remember who he threw it to, was over on our sideline to convert a third down. And he got hit right in the chops when he was getting rid of it. And he stood in there and took a big hit. Actually did that two times through the night. So just very pleased with how he directed the offense, got us in the right runs, got us in the right protections, took the ball to the right spots, and certainly we've got some things to clean up. But for a first ball game, first offense, new scheme, all of the newness to everything, we're doing very pleased with the performance.
Kevin over here to the left.
Not every day someone scores a touchdown, rushing, receiving, and on a return. What does that speak to Chris Rainey and his skill set and what he was able to do tonight?
Well, he's just a very talented young man. He works extremely hard. If you came to practice, you'd see a guy that gives 100% all the time in everything he does. He loves competing, and he's a lot of fun to coach because he really enjoys the game of football. But very talented, catching the ball, running the ball, and then on our block units, he does an outstanding job.
Joe in the middle.
Well, I'm sure you've been waiting for this day for a long time. What was it like for you personally?
Oh, it was exciting, to be able to the preparation I enjoy as much as anything, and then game day being able to run out of the tunnel and know the excitement that our players had. It's about players to me, and it's really about seeing those guys fulfill a lot of their work and see their work come to a conclusion as far as going to the game time and playing a game, and that's what I enjoy seeing that as much as anything.
Mike over here to the left, Coach. Over here to the left, Coach.
Coach, your dad said that he wished your granddad had been here to see you come out of the tunnel. Any chance to think about Papa Muss at all this week?
Well, I guarantee you he's thinking about me and watching. He had watched me in the backyard every day for probably 5 or 6 years and was as close to me growing up as any parent or friend.
Jason over here to the right.
Will, you started to say something about the game going according to script at the beginning. Can you elaborate a little bit on that and how you felt everything out?
Well, I just starting fast, Jason. As far as you moving the ball offensively, we had the dadgum bad snap there, and we got to get that ironed out. That was, I know when y'all rolled your eyes when you saw that, didn't you? That was disappointing. But when you're moving the ball, and the kids had a lot of confidence in what we're doing, and anytime you're new, there's newness, there's new scheme, there's new coaches. How are we going to respond when things don't go well? How are we going to respond when we have a bad snap? How are you going to respond when we don't convert a third down? I mean, those are things that it's always interesting to see how they handle, how the kids handle, how we handle it. We certainly didn't face as much adversity as I would maybe have wanted to tonight. I would have liked to have had more adversity in the game to have us handle those situations. We got 2 sudden change situations defensively. I thought we responded decently. So, what I mean from as well as script is taking it down and scoring on the first drive. Getting points early in the game and getting some momentum for our football team.
Edward over here to the left. Over here, Coach, to the left.
Can you just talk more about John Brantley mentally, how he came out, what his demeanor was, did he take command of the huddle, and how has he been through fall camp?
John's been that way all the way through spring. I've been saying it all along, and then we went out in the spring game and didn't play as well. We didn't play very well around. It wasn't John's fault. He didn't have any protection. And then he went out and had an outstanding training camp. And so I just think he feels more comfortable in what we're doing and taking the ball to the right spots. He's gotten a lot of turns and a lot of reps, and as much as anybody as far as our quarterbacks are concerned, because we're young at the position after John. But very pleased with John. But I've been pleased with John from day one. I've always felt like he's a guy that we can win with, and I know that locker room feels the same way I do.
Rachel in the middle to the right.
You had indicated that John's back would be okay and you didn't plan on using another quarterback. What changed? Was that part of the game plan or something that just in the flow of the game you wanted to do?
Well, the flow of the game presented itself. I wanted to give Jeff an opportunity to get some snaps when the game was in the balance, and it was certainly in the balance at the time he went in the ball game. John had a back flare up the last scrimmage of training camp on that Wednesday. That worried me a little bit as far as his soreness was concerned the next day. Our quarterbacks are not live, so he didn't have to take any hits all through training camp. And when something flares up twice on you in a matter of 20 days, big picture-wise is how I'm looking at it. And I talked to John through the week and explained to John that it was we owe it to this football team to prepare every position the same way. And no different, quarterback's no different than any other position to me. We got to prepare when we need to get Jeff to get those snaps. He needed those snaps, and he's earned the right to be the backup quarterback at Florida. John is our starter. There is no issue. So we needed Jeff to get those reps, in my opinion. I just look at big picture. It's a long season. I didn't want to just throw him out there, week 2, and he hadn't taken any snaps when it's not, the game's still on the balance.
Kyle, over here to the left.
Coach, I know it's early, but can you just talk about the status of the two guys who kind of hobbled off the field, Deontay and Easley, and also it looked like Trey Burton had his pads off?
I haven't met with AP yet, so I don't want to comment on any of that at this point. We'll have an injury report tomorrow. We'll certainly know more on the injuries tomorrow morning. So not fair for me to comment right now.
Brandon's up front here to the left.
Well, and would you get back to talk about getting off to a fast start and how important it was for the confidence of the team to get off to a good start, get good momentum going on both sides of the ball early?
Well, again, I think, friends, more than anything, it's just the unknowns on both sides of the ball of getting some confidence early in the game, because regardless of how many times we've repped it, we've gone against each other, which I think we've got good skill on both sides of the ball and good lines of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. To have success and to feel kind of the fruits of the labor starting to pay off here for you offensively, defensively, to get a little more confidence in what we do and how we do it. Because anytime you're new, it's uncertain. Hey, I've done this at LSU. I did this at Miami. I did this at Auburn. I did this at Texas. As far as just being the coordinator of walking in, and you go through that growth stages early in the process when you're putting in a new system and a new scheme. It's just part of it. So there will be we're going to hit some bumps in the road. It's going to happen.
Chris in the back, and then Mike. Chris always straight in the back.
Coach, I don't know if it's too strong of a statement or not, but just offensively between what Jeff showed he could do, what Chris showed he could do you think maybe as those two go this year, the offense kind of goes?
Well, I think we have other weapons beside that. I think they gave us a lot of opportunities to get those guys the ball and let those guys make some plays. Jordan Reed's outstanding. He's a really good football player. Quentin Dunbar made a couple nice catches for us. Deontay made a great catch over the middle. Frankie Hammond's been very consistent. Andre DeBoe's a great catch on the corner. I think we've got other tools outside of that. I really do. Trey Burton had dinged up early. We kind of held him more than anything. That was me, not him. So I think we've got a lot of weapons to use. I think Charlie does a great job of getting those guys in positions to be successful. And I really, in saying that, I think both of our staffs did a great job, and DJ Durkin does a great job. It's hard to say. Does a great job on special teams. You looking at blocking a kick, opening the game with a kickoff return. I mean, the guy's got great energy and passion in his job, and he does a great job with our players.
How was it not calling plays on defense to do? I mean, how'd that work out with you, Dan?
Well, we just I was on the headset. I made some suggestions here and there, but I may have seen some things. So it's easier to see it, and also it's better from my standpoint of understanding the flow of the game, the confidence Charlie and them had offensively to know Dan on defense we can take some shots here and there. They feel good about moving the ball. So a lot of those things as far as the communication was very good.
Mike over here to the left.
Coach, when you were a kid, the Gators wore orange jerseys. Is that why you decided to wear orange?
No, our seniors wanted to wear orange today, and our staple uniform will be our blue jersey at home and white pants. And if you get mad and want to email me. Don't email anybody else. I was the one that made the decision.
Kevin in the middle there.
3 guys that didn't dress: Omarius Hines, Jeremy Brown, and Robert Clark. Are they all injury situations?
Yeah, Jeremy's a guy that was running full speed Thursday. We were worried about his lateral change of direction. Bobby and Bobby Clark and Omarius both have hamstrings. Will be probable to questionable for next week. Jeremy, I want to see again tomorrow, but I'm not. It's not fair to put a young man out there that can't play full speed.
Kyle.
Coach, you, Charlie, and Dan said it was important to have the coordinators on the field, kind of be able to talk to the guys. Did you see any moments today where it helped having them there, being able to calm some guys down, or did anything kind of flare up and get settled right away the way you hoped?
Well, again, I think with the first year, all of the newness right now, and you have a lot of situations offensively where Charlie was changing something from the sideline, was making sure we got in the right adjustment, and I thought obviously his experience was showed today. And again, with Dan on the sideline, the calming factor, we give up a couple things here and there. This is what we're going to. I just think you need to do that eyeball to eyeball. You don't need to do that through a headset, in my opinion. That's what works for us. I'm not saying that's something we'll do, after this season, but for us right now, that's the best thing for us.
Time for a couple final questions for Coach. Jeff, right there to the right.
A lot of players got a chance to touch the ball on offense. You talk about Charlie White's offense, spreading it around, and also you obviously got a chance to evaluate a lot of players on both sides of the ball and just get them in and maybe get a chance to see something out of it.
Well, we'll watch the film and evaluate those guys, but that really offensively, when we went to some up-tempo stuff purposely to try and make them declare a little bit, we had some unknowns going into the game with them being 3 down or 4 down. So we wanted to make them vanilla up a little bit, and that's what no huddle does for you. So I thought it was really a good idea by Charlie and our offensive staff to do that. It worked for us in the game. We got them a little tired and took a lot of snaps in the first half. So, but part of John's decision-making took the ball to a lot of different people. So that a lot of that goes to John.
Time for 2 final questions. Kevin and then Jason over here.
What were your thoughts about the front 7 and your ability to get pressure on the quarterback?
Well, for the most part, they have a lot of turn protection and full turn and 2 backs, so it's a lot of 7-man protection. So very pleased that we were able to get some edge pressure, which is hard to get pressure against people like this as far as their pocket movement's concerned. For the most part, I thought we did a decent job.
Last question, Jason over here to the right, before we bring our players in.
Overall, the game as a whole, how encouraged are you by where your team's at right now?
Well, I think we need to be realistic here. We'll face better opponents through the season, and but for a first ball game, we need to make some improvements. We need to make some adjustments from a personnel standpoint after we watch the film. We'll certainly do that. And as we roll through this season, we're going to get to know our team a lot better. And again, we didn't face as much adversity as maybe we'd hoped for in the game, as far as being in some situations where our backs were against the wall. But I'm very pleased with the attitude and the effort of our players. They've worked awful hard. They compete. That's a credit to Urban and his staff. I mean, these guys know how to practice. They know how to come and approach work every day, and they've got a great attitude in everything they've done. So I've been very pleased with that, and we've got to continue to improve and get better. We've got a long way to go. We've got a long season ahead of us.
Thanks, guys. We'll bring the players in here shortly.